Okay, welcome everyone. I've got something for you today that might actually be expressed with my limited artistic skills. So I've just got to take that chance. That does not happen often. I was reading something, finished the book yesterday actually. It was in the form of a dialogue, and these two people were talking about wise men, or sages, to use another name. People who display great wisdom in life. And I pay attention to this stuff even more than other topics because even 9 years after priesthood, it's hard to pin down what exactly wisdom is. So, one guy in this dialogue said, being a sage boils down to three things, three qualifiers. They truly live out the truth, they truly live out a spirit of love, and a spirit of creativity. It's the creativity I want to focus on today, but it's certainly grounded in the other two. A wise person must actually care about what is true. It doesn't mean they're always right. You can be wise and wrong at the same time. That's not a deal breaker. But you do have to actually care about what is true, even if that truth is painful or costly. False sages, people who just fake being wise, they will bend the truth whenever it suits them. Paired with that expectation of being loyal to the truth, they have true compassion for others. The way I would express that is that sages and wise men don't really care all that much about the greater good, because the greater good often comes at the expense of the weak or the powerless. No, instead they care about the common good. They care about the basic decency that belongs to everyone. And once that's taken care of, once they've achieved that, then they build something on that foundation. And that's the way it should be. Great things are built on a foundation of love and compassion for your fellow person. So just with those two qualifiers in mind, before we've even gotten into the third one, I think you can imagine what an inauthentic wise person looks like. They may be someone who claims to be an authority in life, someone who has the answers, someone you should be listening to. Do they actually care about what is true or what they want to be true that best serves them? Furthermore, do they actually care? Do they really care about the plight of others? Or are they essentially tools to exploit? So, that pretty swiftly divides actual wise people in your life from those who just like the reputation of being wise. And that brings us to the main focus of the day, creativity. The one guy in that dialogue I mentioned before started by saying that sages are creative people. They can't be pinned down, contained, or predicted. The other guy said, exactly. The wise of the world do not think in terms of black and white. And the first guy then shot back and said, yes, but they also don't think in shades of gray, but rather they add a whole new dimension. They think in shades of color. They add more than any combination of black and white. They add more than any combination of black and white thinking that you could come up with. And that makes them people who come up with solutions rather than people who make up new problems. And that just seemed like such a great way to express that. So here's how that concept exists in my head pictures. So let's take a look. So there are some people who have no patience for moral thinking. The idea that one decision is objectively better than another. They think of actions zero-dimensionally. That's essentially a dot. It is what it is, nothing more and nothing less. Dots are zero-dimension objects. They are all the same. But then you can go beyond that and you can think one-dimensionally and say that morality is scalar, a line, a scale. If there's one end or the other, that's black and white thinking. And that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes there isn't a middle, it's one or the other. Now, if you'll allow me to expand my line a bit, we can make room for shades of gray. So for the record, even though I'm literally adding a height to my drawing, I'm not adding a height to my line. I'm just giving myself space for shading. So still pretend this is a one-dimensional object. Now we can shade from all black to all white. We have 100% mercy, 100% discipline, for example, of course, and we've got the midway point, 50% kindness, 50% sternness. Good stuff. Now, some might call this a second dimension, but I would argue otherwise. It's still one-dimensional thinking, but with a bit more information. It's not two-dimensional thinking because there's very little creativity or unpredictableness here. 48% white and 52% black is what you get after 47% white and 53% black. The pattern is there for all to see. No. The next dimension can be expressed by color. Any point on this grayscale line can be any color. That's what makes it all unconstrained by patterns, but also still adhering to the rational foundation of objective truth. So in other words, it's the best of both worlds. Objective and subjective truth working together, rational and imaginative parts of the human mind working in tandem. That sounds like wisdom to me. Here's my real-life example regarding the creativity of wise people. I've got this friend. He's a college professor, macroeconomics. So he'll give tests, as he, has to, and a certain percentage of his students will do poorly on these tests. And a certain percentage of those students will come to his office begging for mercy. What else is new? Some want a chance to take the test over. Others literally just want a good grade in spite of their poor performance. So where does my friend fall on this line of 100% mercy versus 100% discipline? Well, on the one hand, my friend never budges on the core facts. That's the line. He says to them, no, I'm not just going to give you a passing grade. Because if I do that, I'm saying that you can do macroeconomics. And as far as I can tell, you can't. That's the black and white part of this issue. He can't be 100% merciful because that way he'll compromise the very thing he's trying to teach. But on the other hand, he's not 100% merciless. He always gives the students a chance to prove themselves. He doesn't give them infinite chances. But he'll always provide the opportunity to improve their grade. He knows that most of them will do about as poorly as before. But he knows that some students, every once in a while, they really did have a crisis that week, and they really did just need a little bit of compassion and another chance to take the test. He doesn't give a boilerplate offer for these students. Everyone gets to retake a test once or anything like that. He knows that no two students are the same. So the point is, this friend of mine acts like a sage in his role as a teacher. He has a sense of morality as a scale between two extreme choices and the simple gray area between them. But he also recognizes the color. He recognizes that he has room to approach this issue as an individual serving other individuals, and a creative solution is better than a simple regurgitation of standard classroom policy. I don't actually know any other macroeconomics professors. I imagine that my friend is more on the side of mercy than discipline. He'll always give them their chance. But he also will always hold them to the truth that they need in order to pass the class with any sense of integrity. So I put him right about here on the line with a remarkably hopeful color shading that exact point of his policy. So that's my crash course in practical wisdom. Again, truth, love, creativity. By contrast, foolishness is ambivalent, selfish, and boring. A foolish person will say whatever they need to say to fuel their own needs, and before long you will hear their same platitudes 1,000 times over. Very little creativity in them. The wise people in your life, the sages nearest to you, are the people who are consistent with truth. They are compassionate about your needs and sufferings, and somehow they will never cease to surprise or amaze you, because they're the ones that see the line as well as the color. And they have a tendency to share that vibrancy with those they see around them. So give it some thought. Thank you for listening, and as always, God bless you all.